is APC emblem as the symbol of freedom and promised to faithfully implement a 16-point plan if elected as Nigeria's next president. Meanwhile, in his remarks, the Kwara State Governor, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, commended the people for their overwhelming support for Asiwaju Tinubu. He urged them to translate the love into votes on the election day. Let's hear him.
Take your PVC out. Today we are just celebrating freedom. We are reassessing and reasserting our freedom in a democracy. Yesterday, you have all the rumors that today will not happen, but it's happening in your lifetime. We thank you for believing in Ramanu Abrazaki.
Ladies and gentlemen, Party Faithful, I urge you to support and vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The progress we have in this state, the progress we've been having, will continue. We'll continue with that progress. He is going to bring so many things to Kwara State. Believe in him. We want to thank him for the support he gave us in 2019. He gave us full support, and we succeeded in throwing the termites that rid this state.
All right, we will take a break now, and when we come back, we will have a guest join us for a discussion on the 2023 elections and the leadership question in Nigeria. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Accused, convicted, or condemned, 75,000 Nigerians are currently in prison. Society's rejects forgotten behind bars. But within these walls, there is still a whole world of its own.
Take prison as a correctional center, as a second chance.
To say it's God that help us and send someone to us to come and teach us how to do bidding.
Correspondent Larry Adeyemi journeyed to a remote correctional facility on the border between Adamawa and Gombe states, bringing us stories of reformation, creativity, redemption, and hope.
Then I decided that I will add more skills so that each and every one of the inmates will have what to do. So by the time they leave, they will be productive outside there, they will be useful to the society.
Join us in this 5-part series, The Other Side of the Wall, which premieres on Wednesday, 18th of January on TVC News at 7 p.m.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As you say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal government.
Once it's generated,
if you don't use it, it's waste. We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong in that?
Was he the one driving the taxi?
Answer the question.
Reveal your morning with all you need to know.
Like
yes. More events or duties right now.
No chief of staff, no general has the right to call a governor to order. The governor has been elected by his people.
Start your day right, because this is the breakfast show that adds to your breakfast. TVC Breakfast, weekdays at 7 a.m. only on TVC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I'm now joined by a broadcast journalist and anti-corruption crusader, Kolawole Johnson. We'll be discussing the 2023 elections and the leadership question in Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
All right. It's about 37 days to the conduct of the 2023 elections. What are the factors you would say have shaped the campaigns so far?
Sorry, come again?
It's 37 days to the conduct of the elections. What are those factors you would say have shaped the campaigns so far?
The people's desire to get a better deal from its leadership. Certainly, you know that every election time, people won't contribute to who lead them, and I think there is more awareness this time around. You know, you have a great number of youth who are determined to influence who becomes what in the country. So I think that has really, really contributed to the change you saw. I mean, that you're seeing in the process thus far. And I think it will also be a case study to see how far the larger parts of the country's population can go, with this quest for participation in the leadership of the country. So this is a basic thing that I think has influence. And again, you look at some deeper factors, even though I think it may not be too healthy to discuss that now. But sometimes back, we discussed part of this, and I think it will come to the fore again, maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because what was supposed to be a negative factor is gradually, not gradually, is deeply now becoming, something so strategic that it may also influence the decision or the outcome of the election, But let's see how it goes. We'll still have some time to go. A lot of things can change. Remember, in politics, a day is a very, very long time. And also note that in this game, if you don't make things happen, things do not just happen. So there are people who are working behind the scene, there are different schemes ongoing. There are intrigues. So, depending on the intrigue, so on the outcome of these intrigues, so it will determine where the pendulum will swing at the end of the day. But for now, it's looking like, let's see how it goes.
All right. Without doubt, we know that Nigerians continue to clamor for issue-based campaigns. For you, will you say that has been the situation so far in these campaigns?
Clearly, you can have a campaign you will have a lot of country. It's all over the world. However, it appears we've been able to put issues, we have played down on them, even though it is forming the kind of agitation you're seeing. Of course, you can't take away the fact that you have a huge level of poverty in the country. You can't take away the indices, insecurity. Those things are actually, affecting, the people's decision. However, in the course of the campaign, those issues are not coming to the front border. So the policy process involves that during a campaign period like this. Of course, the policy analyst would always tell you that, during campaign, parties and to implement if they win the election. So the people will get to choose. Do we prefer the policy A or the policy B, or we want to continue with the policy in place? So the moment they choose, whichever side they go to, now the people, the candidates whom we are expected to implement those policies, thereby forcing a policy change. However, you see that in our case, even though we have those fundamentals, those issues, those needs, we are not bringing them to the table to actually justify who can solve this, who is bringing the solution to the table. We are more interested as a business owner, and I need to employ. Now, what I would look at is not who is the nicest among those who are applying. No, I won't look at the most handsome. I won't even look at maybe the most I'll be looking at who can solve the problem on ground. So the first thing will be to do the proper needs assessment. What are my needs on ground? What do I need to be solved? So the moment I identify my needs, so I do the proper situation analysis, then I can then project forward. Okay, who has the competence? Who has shown that pedigree to solve those problems I have on ground? Such should be our approach to,
Johnson,
to elections at this period, especially presidency. Yeah. So
Johnson, as we
unfortunately, I think we have done more.
As I continue to deconstruct these issues, it's also very important to remind ourselves that as of December 2022, Nigeria's inflation rate was at 21.47%. Our unemployment rate is at 33%. Poverty rate in Nigeria at this point is 63%, which means that over 100 million people of persons living within Nigeria are multidimensionally poor, talking about insecurity, heightened insecurity nationwide. I'm asking you now, what kind of a leader does Nigeria need at this time?
That appears to be a very tough question. But regardless of the kind of leaders you think we need, you will need to look at those who are in the race, who have the possibilities of winning this election. But no doubt, you need a very tough leader. See, take it or leave it. Whoever becomes the president next may not be able to. Person would need to take. You need a thinker. Leadership is not just about. You must be able to see. Something that others are not seeing, and be able to motivate your team to go there. You must be able to see the road clearly and take the best decision for the larger majority of the people want. You need a leader with that creative approach to governance. That you can't run away from that. See, Nigeria is in a dire strait. You need to get the country out of the doldrums that we are now. And the best way would be not to massage ourselves. Take for example, you have subsidy in place that is eaten deep into the nation economy. You can't bring a leader on board that will be scared to take the bulls by the horn, to take away subsidy once and for all. You look at the different things we are subsidizing. Let's even take this, for example, as a case study. You say you are helping the poor by keeping the subsidy. How? Now, I tell you, the poor, the larger majority of them, they go through public transport. But you have the rich who keep in their different homes, fleet of cars, 6 cars, 8 cars, V6, V8, gas governing vehicles, and they cruise to anywhere they want. As a matter of fact, at times, they run a convoy. Their kids also, they cruise about town, and the fare that they burn is not being paid by them. The government is paying. If you take away this, you'll be helping the poor the more. You look at the energy sector, for example. We are subsidizing. Who are we subsidizing? Is it the man that keeps like 20 acres and people willing to pay the full, yes, to pay for his lottery? The government is subsidizing. The man in the village is only interested in lighting his bulb. Maybe how many watts? That's all he's interested. So what you are subsidizing is not actually for the poor, it is for the rich. You need a strong leader who can take the bulls by the horn, take the subsidy away from these sectors, put it in education, where the poor will be able to, to get the required education to come to the higher rung of the ladder. You need a leader with that heart to do the right thing, regardless of whose ox is gone.
All right. As an analyst, how will you rate the chances of the presidential candidates?
I wish we could just give some time, for us to dwell on the kind of leaders that you need. I gave you one, a leader with that sword from this stage we are. See, we can apply sentiment to this issue. Nigeria is like, if you love this country enough and you're here, you know that you can't afford to have a leader that will fail again. So regardless of what their chances are, I'm more interested in who is going to solve the problem we have right now in Nigeria. Who can assemble the best of teams together, to lead this country ahead. What you have now is a lesser scale situation of a leader who believe that the team can do this, so let them do it. But I think you need more of a leader now who can sit on top of the team, who can chart the path for them, who can think for them and say, this is where we should go, and motivate the entire team to get there. So for me, I'm more interested in that than the chances of the candidate now. But if you want us to score them, I think you require, mathematics. It's not what you just score. It is data. So you look at the Northwest, the Northeast. So who can control these areas? The North Central, the Southwest. If you can look at the data there, then you can start scoring the chances. But I think, fair enough. It may not be too far from what.
Okay. Finally, on a final note. On a final note, let's talk about INEC preparation for the election. How will you rate it in very few seconds?
INEC has done fantastically well, and I think there is room for improvement. But you may not be able to judge outrightly by those isolated elections. We may be looking at a more serious situations on our hands. And do not forget that the politicians are working day and night also to win election. And part of their strategies to win is to also circumvent the preparation of INEC. So INEC would not need to rest on its oars. They need to do much more, to ensure that if the election holds in February, to ensure that we have a very fair and free and fair election.
All right, it's a 30 minutes right today, and sadly we're out of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Kolawole Johnson, for coming on the program as we discuss the 2023 elections and the leadership question in Nigeria. Thank you for coming on Politics Tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube. Goodbye.
Good morning.
Good morning. Why is your sun shining like this?
Can't you see that I'm at